Welcome, curious minds. Today, we're embarking on a deeply unsettling, but I think critically important deep dive. We've gathered quite a stack of sources here, including transcripts from a detailed YouTube video, to help you understand a case that really gripped two nations and left a profound impact. Our mission today is to truly understand the story of Yingying Zhang. She was a brilliant young scholar, whose promising journey to America took such a dark and unexpected turn. It's a narrative that, it delves into meticulous detective work, truly chilling confession, and the enduring grief of a family seeking answers, even when some remain elusive.
And what's so fascinating here, or perhaps harrowing is a better word, is how the unraveling of this mystery relied on tiny, tiny details and just unwavering dedication from law enforcement. This isn't just like a report of what happened.
Yeah, it's more.
It really is a testament to the pursuit of truth, even when that path leads to the most heartbreaking discoveries and reveals some, frankly, chilling aspects of human behavior.
So let's explore the full scope of the Yingying Zhang case. Our story begins in Urbana-Champaign, Illinois. It's, on the surface, a seemingly safe and welcoming college town that, back in 2017, became the backdrop for an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, it's important to kind of picture the environment there. The University of Illinois, or U of I, it's a major hub for international students, particularly from China. Our sources describe it as, a small, prosperous town, generally low crime rate, which makes what happened there even more shocking, right?
Absolutely.
And in fact, some sources even talked about the town's vibrant international community, especially the large presence of Chinese students and businesses. They said it felt almost like a mini Beijing, just highlighting what a unique cultural hub it'd become.
And our focus immediately narrows to Yingying Zhang. She was a 26-year-old visiting scholar from China. And the sources, they consistently paint this picture of an exceptionally talented, responsible, and just beloved young woman. She was pursuing a scholarship, researching plant photosynthesis in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Sciences at U of I. It was a year-long program. She'd really just begun.
And her background, it truly highlights her ambition and, the hopes she carried. She came from a family in Nanping, Fujian, China that was, financially struggling.
Yeah.
Her father was a truck driver, her mother a homemaker. Yingying was the eldest, sort of the shining light. She'd earned these prestigious scholarships, even attended Peking University, that's a top institution in China.
Right.
And she was also engaged to her fiancé, Xiaolin Hu. They had plans to marry in October 2017. Her family was just incredibly proud, really seeing her as their hope for a better future.
And then the critical turning point. The day she vanished. It was Friday, June 9th, 2017. Ying left her lab around noon, heading off to sign a lease for a new apartment she was excited about. She had an appointment set for 1:30 p.m.
Yeah, the sources meticulously detail her journey. She took the bus, but then she missed her connecting bus. So that left her stranded at a bus stop, right around 1:30 p.m.
Oh, wow, exactly when she was supposed to be at the apartment office.
Exactly. The apartment manager even tried to contact her when she didn't show up, but got no reply.
And that's when a black sedan pulled up. The driver stopped, spoke to her for about a minute, we understand, and then Yingying Zhang got into the car. And that was the last time anyone saw her.
Which immediately raises that question, why would she get into a stranger's car? Maybe she thought it was a rideshare, or maybe campus security, something like that.
Could be.
What's more concerning, though, from our sources, is that her absence wasn't really taken seriously by the police right away.
Yeah, I saw that.
When the apartment manager realized she hadn't shown, and then her coworker, who was expecting her back in like 2 hours, started getting concerned around 4 p.m., things really started to feel wrong. By 6 p.m., after calls and texts went unanswered, her coworker actually went to Yingying's apartment, found no one there, and then reported her missing to the campus police.
But that initial police response, it seems like it was slow. From what the sources say, what were the key factors there? Why the early dismissal, and how did that maybe impact things later?
You're absolutely right. The initial response was, far from ideal. Police unfortunately kind of dismissed it at first. They attributed it to, a college student maybe out partying on a Friday evening.
Right, the usual assumptions.
Exactly. But her coworker insisted, really pushed back, saying it was completely out of character for Yingying, especially given how new she was to the U.S. and just how incredibly responsible she was known to be. This early dismissal, though, it meant precious time was lost in those critical first hours.
Definitely. So the next day, Saturday, June 10th, the situation escalates. After 24 hours, still no contact, Yingying's friends, they took action. They started calling local media to publicize her disappearance. The local paper, the News Gazette, they published the story. international student gone missing.
And the police's initial search of her apartment, it revealed nothing really amiss. It looked perfectly normal, no signs of a struggle, not even packed bags for her planned move, which suggested, a sudden, unexpected departure. Either she left willingly, at least initially, or maybe under duress.
Okay, so the investigation then truly begins to pick up pace. She didn't have a car, so police focused on public transport, right? They painstakingly reviewed, over 2,000 surveillance camera feeds.
Yeah, a huge task. And this is where digital forensics became absolutely crucial. They found footage of Yingying getting on that first bus, then missing her connection, and then the black sedan pulling up.
But the footage was blurry.
Extremely blurry. They couldn't make out the car's make, model, license plate, or even the driver's face. It was just too low quality. A really frustrating hurdle for the investigators at that point.
So this lack of immediate leads, that's what prompted the major escalation, the FBI stepping in.
Exactly. And with their advanced resources, they managed to identify the car as a black Saturn Astra. Which, talk about a needle in a haystack.
How many were there?
Only 58 registered in the entire state of Illinois. So it was a massive breakthrough. It narrowed down this impossible search to something, manageable.
And then another critical lead, this one from a really unexpected source, Emily Hogan, a British student at U of I. She had posted something on Facebook that very morning, just hours before Yingying vanished.
Yeah, that was chilling. Emily described how a man in a black sedan, claiming to be an undercover police officer, he even had a badge, she said, had tried to coax her into his car for a few questions.
Wow!
She refused, thankfully, reported it, and warned others online. This provided such a critical link. It connected that specific type of car and this deceptive tactic directly to Yingying's disappearance. It was just this direct, alarming parallel. It really painted a clear picture of a predatory pattern emerging.
Meanwhile, Yingying's family, her father, mother, brother, and her fiancée, Xiaolin Haoda, they flew all the way from China. You just have to imagine the immense difficulty arriving in a foreign country, barely speaking English.
Driven solely by hope.
Exactly, driven solely by the hope of finding their daughter. Her father, a truck driver, apparently heard the news on the radio back home. They put up posters everywhere, offered a significant reward too, which grew from $10,000 up to $50,000. And her fiancé, he became the main liaison because he was the only one who spoke English. It just highlights the profound challenges, right? Seeking justice, seeking closure across these huge cultural and linguistic divides, a struggle that went way beyond just the courtroom.
Indeed, it really shows the emotional toll. They even followed a false lead at one point down to Salem, Illinois, for a woman who just resembled Yingying.
Oh, heartbreak.
Underscored their sheer desperation and, the agonizing lack of real progress. It just added to their heartbreak when it turned out to be another dead end.
So the FBI agents Anthony Manganaro and Eric Stauffer leading the charge, they narrowed that list of 58 Saturn Astras down to 18, but still 18 identical cars. How do you pinpoint the right one?
Right, and this is just a fantastic example of how crucial meticulous detail is in forensic investigation. 5 days after Yingying disappeared, this was June 14th, 2017, a U of I police officer, James Carter, he was re-examining the CCTV footage again.
Just looking closer.
Exactly. And he noticed this small crack on the front right wheel hubcap of the black sedan.
A tiny detail.
Tiny, but seemingly unique. That flaw, combined with the fact the car had a sunroof, which also matched, led them directly to one car, registered to a Brent Christensen. This single, tiny detail just transformed a sprawling search into a focused target.
So June 14th, the same day they spot the crack, police go to Christensen's apartment. His wife, Michelle Zortman, answered the door. Christensen himself, he appeared calm, cooperative even. Denied driving his car that day, claimed he was just playing video games.
In Christensen, he was a surprising suspect to many people. A 27-year-old PhD student in physics at UI, degrees in math and physics, described as highly intelligent, no criminal record.
Doesn't fit the profile initially.
Not at all. However, his life wasn't quite as stable as it seemed on the surface. He was in what sources describe as an open relationship with his wife, which meant, they had agreed to allow relationships outside their marriage.
Okay.
And sources suggest he used this dynamic partly as a coping mechanism for the stress from his PhD studies and some alcohol issues he was having. He also had a girlfriend at the time named Tara Bullis.
Okay, so when the FBI interviews Christensen, they show him the CCTV footage of his car. He calmly says, "You see my car, you don't see me driving it." But then the agents use that psychological tactic, responding, "You only see what we want you to see." What was the effect of that?
Well, that tactic, it wasn't just a clever line. It was designed specifically to break through Christensen's composure, to make him feel observed, already compromised, essentially pressuring him into admitting something.
And it worked.
It did. That's when Christensen became agitated. He admitted picking up Ying, but then he claimed he dropped her off shortly after because supposedly she realized he was driving in the wrong direction. Then he immediately asked for a lawyer, saying he felt he'd cooperated enough.
So the FBI makes this calculated decision not to arrest him right then, even though he clearly lied. What was the thinking there? How did that pay off?
They decided to release him and put him under surveillance for 24 hours. They believed observing his reactions, his ongoing activities, could actually be more valuable than an immediate arrest.
Good gamble.
A strategic gamble, yeah. And this patience, it led them directly to Tara Bullis, Christensen's girlfriend. The FBI approached her, and she initially really wanted to prove his innocence. She genuinely believed he couldn't do something like this. She agreed to wear a wire.
Wow.
Yeah, to secretly record conversations with him, specifically asking about Yingying.
So the recordings start, and slowly, they begin to reveal a much darker truth. On June 29th, 2017, Christensen and Tara, they actually attended a memorial march for Yingying. This is 20 days after she disappeared.
Right, and sources indicate he was intoxicated at the event. And during it, he chillingly says to Tara, "Everyone here is for me."
Chilling.
That statement just deeply unnerved Tara. It really made her start questioning her belief in his innocence.
And that contrast in behavior at the memorial must have been stark. Yingying's fiancé sang this heartfelt song for her. Everyone was moved, standing ovation.
While Christensen just remained seated, clapping slowly, awkwardly. Almost, observers felt, as if he were enjoying the attention. That kind of chilling dissonance, it wasn't lost on the investigators watching.
Later that same night, the full horror of the situation just breaks wide open. Agent Manganaro gets a late-night call. It's Tara Bullis, distraught, shaking, handing over a recording.
And, yeah, that night, Agent Manganaro received the call that would finally break the case. Tara Bullis, clearly shaken, handed over this recording. It contained Christensen's full, horrifying confession. I mean, what he described to her was almost beyond belief.
What did he say?
He admitted taking Ying back to his apartment. His wife was out of town. He said he choked and raped her there. And when she still wouldn't die, he recounted taking her to the bathroom, attacking her repeatedly with a baseball bat, fracturing her skull, then using a knife to dismember her body.
Oh my God.
He then said he placed her remains into 3 trash bags and disposed of them in a dumpster right outside his apartment complex for municipal collection, believing they'd be picked up the next day.
And then there's that other chilling detail. He claimed Yingying was his 13th victim, implying he was a serial killer. What did the investigation find about that?
Yeah, he did make that claim. Investigators looked exhaustively, trying to find similar unsolved cases that could link back to him, but they couldn't corroborate it.
So possibly just boasting.
Possibly. Or just part of his disturbed mindset. Regardless, it painted this terrifying picture of his psychology, this boastful, almost detached attitude toward the horrific act he'd just confessed to. It really speaks to a dark psychological landscape.
So this confession, combined with all the previous evidence, that gave the FBI sufficient grounds to finally arrest Christensen. Charges of kidnapping resulting in death. And a subsequent search of his apartment found Yingying's blood and DNA, right?
Yeah.
In the bedroom, bathroom, even on the baseball bat.
Exactly. Irrefutable physical evidence that just completely corroborated his horrific confession.
The trial of Brent Christensen then began in June 2019, and his defense attorney, George Tasif, made a surprising move. He admitted right away that Christensen had killed Yingying.
Yeah, a strategic shift. It moved the focus of the trial solely to sentencing, essentially arguing against the death penalty from the outset.
The family, though, they were desperate for justice. They sought the death penalty. During the trial, Ying's parents, her brother, her fiancé, they attended every single day, listening through translators to these harrowing details of her death.
It was incredibly difficult. Agent Manganaro had hoped they might remove their headphones during the most gruesome testimony just to shield them slightly.
But they didn't?
No. They absorbed every single word. They were determined to witness the truth no matter how painful it was. It was a testament to their unwavering resolve.
And Tara Bullis, Christensen's former girlfriend, she also testified. Christensen apparently avoided eye contact with her the entire time, even as she recounted his chilling confession, just adding another layer of discomfort to the whole proceeding.
On June 24, 2019, the jury delivered its verdict. Guilty. guilty of kidnapping resulting in death, and guilty of lying to federal agents. But then came the sentencing phase on July 18th, 2019, and the jury's decision, it wasn't unanimous regarding the death penalty.
Right. So with that split decision, the sentencing phase determined his fate. Life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. And this decision, it sparked quite a bit of outrage, both in China and here in the U.S. Many people, including Yingying's family and fiancé, expressed profound disappointment. They felt he should have received the death penalty. They felt it was an injustice, even suggesting it might embolden similar crimes. What factors might have led to the jury not being unanimous?
Well, this is where it gets complex, and critical thinking is essential. Our sources indicate Christensen's online search history was deeply disturbing. It revealed thoughts about suicide, murder, kidnapping, dismemberment, even playing games with the police online.
Wow.
He had also sought therapy for suicidal thoughts and was actively seeing a therapist for mental health issues around that time. So this documented history of mental distress, it may well have influenced the jury. Some jurors might have seen his mental state as a mitigating factor, preventing that unanimous decision required for the death penalty in the federal system.
Beyond the legal outcome, though, the family's deepest desire was always just to bring Yingying's body home for burial. They pleaded with Christensen after the conviction to reveal where he disposed of her remains.
He did eventually admit, through his lawyers, as part of a plea negotiation that ultimately didn't fully materialize, but the information came out, that he threw her body parts into a specific dumpster belonging to a private company. However, the company confirmed that waste collected from that dumpster went to a private landfill, and after 18 months, given the compaction and layering of waste, any remains would be irretrievably buried, making recovery essentially impossible.
Just another devastating blow for the family. Denied that chance for a proper burial, denied the closure that might come with it.
Exactly.
The pain for Yingying's family remains so raw, so palpable even now. Her mother still wonders where her daughter is, finding it hard to fully accept her death without her body. Her father rarely enters Yingying's room, it's just too painful. Her fiancé wrote that haunting song for her, Angel, a tribute to her memory, believing she's become an angel watching over them. They even held a memorial service where her clothes and belongings were buried in a box in lieu of her actual remains.
And in such a poignant moment, Yingying's own notebook, where she detailed her journey in the U.S., it had a final entry on its very last page, written in English. Life is too short to be ordinary.
Wow.
It captures her vibrant spirit so perfectly and underscores the immeasurable, tragic loss of her immense potential and all her dreams.
This deep dive into the Yingying Zhang case, it really is a powerful reminder of how just one single act of violence can ripple across continents, leaving such an indelible mark. It highlights the unwavering dedication of investigators, the incredible courage of witnesses who came forward, and the enduring strength of a family facing just unimaginable grief with such resilience.
It also really encourages us, I think, to reflect deeply on the complexities of justice and closure, especially when a perpetrator's full motives might remain shrouded in mystery, or, like in this case, when a victim's physical remains are tragically out of reach. This case, despite the legal resolution, it leaves so many profound questions unanswered about the chilling depths of human darkness and sometimes the agonizing limits of our justice system in delivering complete closure.
For you, our listener, this story serves as a really stark illustration of the precise details, both the tragic ones and the resilient ones, that shape our world. We hope this deep dive into the sources has given you a clearer, perhaps more nuanced understanding of this incredibly heartbreaking case. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with another deep dive soon.